Hello and welcome to the Hourly News Bulletin. At the beginning of these weeks of the new academic year, the pressure to implement the Taliban leader's decree in Afghan schools has intensified. A decree requiring students to wear shirts, trousers, and handmade crafts. Videos received from Herat and Kabul show that students were barred from entering school for not having wristbands, and some were subjected to violence and beatings for having long hair. Pakistan has intensified the second phase of Afghan refugee expulsions. In just the past 2 days, thousands of people have been expelled from Pakistan. The Taliban have called this action contrary to Islamic and international principles and have asked the United Nations to prevent the forced expulsion of Afghan refugees from Pakistan.
ما 24 کال عمر دی 22 کال په پاکستان کې تیر کړی 22 کال چې څوک پاکستان کې تیر کړي دا هغه بهترینه کاروبار زما هم بهترینه کاروبار اوس په دواړو لاسو روانم کاروبار مې هم پاتې دی د خلکو سره معاملې ولې پیسې مې ټولې پاتې شوې دي اوس د خپل د لارې کرایې ته حیران یم چې هر چا ته مې زنګ وولو چې زما پیسې راکړه پیسې نه راته راکولې هغوی خبر دي چې افغان مهاجرین تنګوي تر دې پورې چې پولیسو هم زیات هلکان شکولي دي دلته په لارې هم موږ ته زیات مشکلات زموږ نه پیسې اخلي کسټم والا اخلي دلته نور پولیس ولاړ دي په بېلابېلو نومونو باندې چې تاسې ما افغان مهاجرین یاست تاسې پیسې تاسې کارډونه نه لري نو زموږ نه پیسې شکوي
پیرنګی هم په دې هڅو کې و او تل یې پالیسۍ دا وې چې دا ملت پښتانه افغانان د یو بل نه لرې د یو بل نه تقسیم پاشلي د یو بل نه متنفر وساتي هم دا د پیرنګیانو بقایات هم هغه پالیسي په مخ وړي او اوس یې هم دغه عمل په دغه بنیاد شروع کړی دی
The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe in Vienna hosted a special meeting Monday about education and political participation of Afghan women. Faridun Snitilo Oglu, Secretary General of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe at this meeting, called for practical support for the women and girls of Afghanistan. He emphasized that all member countries must take serious steps to ensure the security and full participation of Afghan women in society. The Afghan ambassador to Tajikistan welcomed Tim Burchett, a member of the United States Congress, for a visit to America and support for the people of Afghanistan. Expressed appreciation. Zohair Akhtar also announced plans involving political figures to develop practical strategies to help Afghanistan overcome the crisis. Zohair Akhtar emphasized that the efforts in Washington will lead to a fundamental transformation in the fight against terrorism and extremism. The office of the Taliban governor in Herat has announced that today the Selma Dam water will be released into the Hari River. The Taliban called the release of the Selma Dam water a means to provide the necessary water for farmers' cultivation and agriculture. The Taliban have asked local residents to avoid strolling near the Hari River to prevent possible incidents. The President of the United States once again strongly criticized the transfer of large sums of money to Afghanistan under Taliban administration. Donald Trump emphasized in a meeting on Monday that his country will no longer assist its enemies.
شما باور نمیکنید اما ما پول زیادی به افغانستان میدهیم مگر نه چون توافق بایدن بود یک توافق دیگر از بایدن او نه تنها ما را شرمنده کرد بلکه میلیاردها دلار به افغانستان داد اما ما از دوستان خود به خوبی مراقبت میکنیم نه از دشمنان خود ما دیگر از دشمنان خود مراقبت نمیکنیم.
Sources said that the Taliban's Ministry of Culture has banned poetry recitations until further notice. According to the sources, this decision was made after the critical poetry recitation of Naranj Gul in Nangarhar province. In this poetry gathering, some poets with critical poems asked the leader of the Taliban to come to Kabul and show himself to the people. The Taliban cited the reason for this decision as preventing harm to economic resources and protecting public funds. A gathering in Washington commemorated the ancient celebrations of Nowruz and Eid al-Fitr. Satare Sahar, the association's representative, the state senator of Washington, and Andrew Hayes, a member of the United States Congress, delivered speeches at the event about the role of culture and the preservation of identity. Speaking, it is expected that negotiations between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran, mediated by Oman, will be held at the highest level on Saturday. Abbas Araghchi, Iran's foreign minister, and Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's special representative on Middle Eastern affairs, will lead the delegations of both sides. Meanwhile, China and Russia have welcomed the negotiations. Beijing has asked the United States to be sincere in the negotiations.
We have a very big meeting and we'll see what can happen.
ما یک نشست بسیار مهم خواهیم داشت و خواهیم دید چه اتفاقی می‌افتد. فکر می‌کنم همه موافقند که رسیدن به یک توافق بهتر از گزینه‌های دیگر است.
مذاکره شکلش مهم نیست، مستقیم یا غیر مستقیم. من توضیح میدم البته. به نظر من اون چه که اهمیت داره مؤثر بودن یا غیر مؤثر بودن مذاکرات هست. جدی بودن یا جدی نبودن طرفین در مذاکرات هست. نیات طرفین در مذاکره هست و اراده برای رسیدن به یک راه حل. این هست که در مذاکره و در هر گفتگویی ملاک عمل هست. اینکه شکلش چگونه باشه، خب شکل تابع مسائل مختلفی هست.
For the first time in Britain, a woman gave birth to a daughter after receiving a uterus from her sister, and in her teens was afflicted by a rare disease and from the uterus band. She, who had received her sister's uterus during an 8-hour surgery, now has a child. The British surgeon has performed 3 other uterine transplants, and about 10 other women are in line to receive a uterus. The United States Secretary of Defense, in a phone call with Khalid bin Salman, the Saudi Arabian Minister of Defense, has discussed the security situation in the region. According to a report published by the Pentagon, this call also included discussions about Operation Hindeka to weaken the capabilities of the Houthis. The two sides also discussed and agreed on opportunities to expand defense cooperation. Russia has passed a law that bans advertising on networks like Facebook and Instagram starting September 2025. This law targets networks whose activities are deemed undesirable in Russia. Individuals face fines up to 20,000 rubles and companies up to 500,000 rubles. And this is how we reached the end of tonight's news. Thank you, Henry. Hadi Daryugar too.